In our last module, you heard about why your baby might be in the NICU and who is there helping your baby. In this module, we'll be talking about visiting hours and policies, the best times to call and visit, some important NICU lingo like clustered care, the isolette, and A's, B's, and D's, and ways you can make the NICU environment more comfortable.
Your first few days in the NICU may be a total shock to the system. You may feel disoriented, anxious, shocked, sad, jealous, or even numb. It's absolutely okay to take as much time as you need to let the transition to the NICU sink in. We will help you get your bearings by walking you through what you should know from day one in the NICU. First, ask your nurse about the NICU's visiting hours and policies. Most NICUs allow 2 primary caregivers to stay at bedside 24/7, with the exception of a brief period twice a day when the nurses change shifts. You may have other children, parents, friends, aunts, and uncles who would love to visit, so it's best to know the visiting policy early and set expectations ahead of time. Now is also a good time to decide with your family who you'd like to visit, if anyone at all. Further along in NICU Nook, we talk about how to set boundaries with friends and family.
First, get the unit phone number and ask your nurse about the best and worst times to call. Obviously, you're welcome to call at any time, day or night, though in my experience, there are definitely times where I feel more available to talk. The first 30 minutes of my NICU shifts are busy. I'm getting reports from the last nurse and meeting all the babies I'll be taking care of. Also, 1 out of every 3 hours, I'm super busy changing diapers, feeding babies, and doing other routine care tasks. In that hour, it's all about your baby. I love talking to parents on the phone, but you'll have my undivided attention before or after this busy baby hour.
Another important time to find out about is when rounds take place. Rounds are when your entire baby's care team, doctors, NPs, residents, etc., meets to discuss your baby's progress over the last 24 hours and create their care plan for the day. We highly encourage you to know when this takes place and to join. You are the most important part of your baby's care team. At this meeting, you'll have a chance to ask questions, bring up any concerns, and learn what today's care plan will entail. However, if you can't make it, that's okay too. We understand that your life continues outside of the 4 walls of the NICU. Your baby's nurse will be at rounds, will advocate for your baby, and will be more than happy to relay this information in person or over the phone. Get involved in clustered care. Clustered care, or simply CARES, is meant to consolidate your baby's care into one specific time frame every few hours to give them longer stretches of uninterrupted rest and sleep. This is vital for your baby's development. When they're sleeping, they're growing, and when they're growing, they're getting closer to discharge from the NICU. This is the best time for you to visit because you get the opportunity to do all the clustered care with your nurse or independently.
When you ask me what you can do for or with your baby during CARES, I am thrilled. I get to witness you bonding and caring for your baby, and you get to experience the satisfaction of having power and control over your baby's care and development. What a win for all of us. You might feel uncertain about how to hold your baby with the monitors and wires in place. That makes sense if you've never held a NICU baby before. You can always ask your nurse to show you how to engage in caregiving tasks that seem overwhelming. Also, in a later NICU Nook module and in your baby diary, we discuss specific things you can do for and with your baby right now.
If you haven't realized this already, the NICU has its own language. You may have been listening in on your baby's care team's conversations and have asked yourself, what are they talking about? That makes sense because there is so much lingo that goes on in the NICU. We are going to explain a few important terms. The isolette is your baby's home. It provides a warm and cozy environment that can be adjusted based on their individual needs. Since preemies don't have as much body fat as full-term babies, preemies would have to burn too many calories to stay warm. The isolette maintains their body temperature so they can conserve energy and grow.
Your home nursery may already be decked out, or you may have grand plans for your nursery that you have yet to execute. So it's normal to want to personalize your baby's space in the NICU. Ask your nurses which personal items can be brought into the NICU, like onesies, linens, photos, or stuffed animals.
Now, let's talk about your baby's monitor. The monitor measures your baby's heart rate, oxygen level or saturation, and respiratory rate. If any of these numbers fall outside of preset parameters, you'll hear an alarm. The alarms help alert your nurse to what's going on with your baby. An alarm does not necessarily mean there's an emergency. In fact, it's expected that your nurse will not immediately respond to certain alarms. Some are erroneous, such as a poor reading of the oxygen saturation probe. Others are warnings that your baby may need your nurse's help, and others require no intervention at all. Amanda and other nurses can even be across the hall and still have remote access to your baby's monitors. The most common reasons you'll hear an alarm are because of A's, B's, and D's.
The 3 terms that you're most likely to hear from your baby's medical team are apneas, Brady's, and DSATs, or A's, B's, and D's. You may also hear these collectively referred to as episodes. Let's get into them. There are wires that measure your baby's heart rate and breathing rate. Apneas are pauses in your baby's breathing for longer than 15 to 20 seconds. Brady's or bradycardias are drops in your baby's heart rate. There is also a probe that measures your baby's oxygen levels and may be placed on their foot or their hand. DSATs or desaturations are drops in their oxygen levels. A's, B's, and D's might sound scary, but they're completely normal for preemies and other babies in the NICU. Heart rate and breathing are controlled by your brain. A preemie's brain is not yet fully developed to regulate these processes on their own, so your baby will likely be having A's, B's, and D's up until a few days before discharge.
Most of the time when your baby has A's, B's, and D's, the nurse will wait a few seconds to try to let your baby sort it out themselves. The less your nurse interrupts your baby's sleep, the better this is for their development. Sometimes your nurse will step in by waking your baby up or giving them some oxygen. It can be very hard to trust someone else to respond to your baby's basic needs. We absolutely hear and understand that. It's okay to ask your nurse more detailed questions if this will help you gain more trust in them.